morning.
Hello.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hello.
Welcome to In Control Scotland's December webinar Wednesday. We've got our festive finery on. I've got my ears on. We've got Christmas jumpers. We've got Santa dungarees. Alistair's even wearing a bejazzled Santa hat, actually.
It is. It's fabulous, isn't it?
It's very fabulous. I love it.
No expense spared.
I know I went to Poundland last night to get my antlers, especially, you know, living the dream. But yeah, welcome along. We're just having a festive check-in, a wee reflective space to chat about how we felt the year has been so far in 2023. Can you believe it's the end of the year? But yeah, we do a quick round the table because everybody been on Webinar Wednesday before. But for folk who I think you know me, I'm Pauline. I'll go this way. Nope. That way to Alistair.
Hello, it's Alistair. I've been here before. Indeed, yes. I was just doing do you want to do that? Will I do an update chat or just a hello?
Just say a quick hello just now. We've got a wee bit of updates.
Hello, it's December. I don't know what day it is. And across to that way to Brett.
Hi, folks. It's Brett. Happy Christmas to all.
That may be my first happy Christmas of the year, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Is it too early?
Right, Brett, you need to point to whoever's next. How good you're pointing.
That's down to June. Hi, June.
Hi, everyone. I'm June. Nice to see you all here today. Join us on our Christmas webinar. Danielle.
Hi, everyone. I've been here just a few times, and I'm the one with the Christmas dungarees, although you can't really see my Santas because I'm too low down, but I do have them on, I promise. But Karen is next.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Karen. I am mum to two boys, so I'm in that mad phase of panic buying. I have a wee boy who can't tell me what he wants, so I just basically panic buy everything. And normally most of it goes back in January because he just looks at me as if to say, "Why did you buy me that, mum?" Do you know? So yeah, mum guilt.
Yeah, my husband's a bit like that, actually. Not very good at telling me what he needs or wants either. Yeah, panic buying. Amazing. Well, we've got a full house today. Amazing. We're like the Brady Bunch in our wee squares, aren't we? But yeah, like we said, it's just a kind of reflective roundup of the year so far. But we always do a bit at the beginning, don't we, gang, where we talk about the business bits, where we talk about the stuff that we think folk need to know about. Alistair, do you want to kick off and tell us a wee bit? You've got some stuff from Europe's Home to update on.
Yeah, thanks. So we have it's hot on the heels of our protest and conference and all that good stuff last month, all the way back last month in the cold outside, where folks made it out, and we got to share a lot of our story and hear a lot of other people's experiences. We have another meeting tomorrow, so at 3:00 till 4:30 on Teams. If you've been before, you'll have been sent an email. If you haven't been before, email newrootshome@gmail.com and we will get you one. And we're going to chat about the reflections from the event that we've just had. We're going to talk a little bit about a draft Lennon report that we've got in the pipeline that we're asking for people to contribute to, and a little bit of an update as to conversation we had with the complex care team and Anne McDonald, who wrote the Coming Home report. So lots of action, lots of stuff. Here's hoping we can keep the momentum going. And we've also got the Impact Network tomorrow, which is also looking at the subject of deinstitutionalisation and stuff. So that's what I'll be mostly doing tomorrow.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Alistair. Yeah, and it was a day of action indeed, wasn't it, that we had in Edinburgh. It was a really powerful day. And just for anybody who's maybe not heard of Newroot's Home or knows what doesn't know what it is, it's a group of people with lived experience and professional experience who are committed to ending the hospitalisation and institutionalisation of autistic folk in psychiatric hospitals and inappropriate placements. So a bunch of really passionate and committed folk, and everybody's welcome, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had lots of interest, and sometimes folk can be anxious about is this an outspoken group? How, but actually we're pushing for change. We're pushing for the right stuff. You should be proud to be part of this. And there is scope for people to have different voices and different parts of this journey. And we do, we try and make it so that everybody can contribute, whatever part of the system they're in. So yeah, absolutely. Super good.
Thank you so much. And we've also got a wee programme of work around about option 2 of self-directed support. So from one end of what we do to another. So option 2 has been a thing that we've done loads and loads of work on for many, many years. But we've got 2 particular things to draw folks' attention to you might want to get involved in. Danielle, would you mind saying a wee bit? You're doing some work around about support providers, aren't you?
Yeah, so myself and Keith, hi Michael, myself and Keith are doing some work around with providers. So we, by the end of this week, I'll have sent out a survey to providers to find out why they provide option 2 or why they don't, and what are the barriers if they don't, just to get that initial sort of understanding. And then in January we'll be running 2 focus groups with providers. They can attend both or one, depending on what they want, just to have a bit of shared learning and understand more from the survey and go into a bit more detail about what support the providers who do or do not offer option 2 need to either maintain what they offer or to be confident in perhaps moving to offering option 2.
Yeah, thanks, Danielle. Yeah, it's really important bit of work actually, because when we were thinking about what we could do to embed option 2 a bit more cohesively or equally, we were talking about how sometimes support providers aren't part of conversations about self-directed support, but they're like, we can't do it without them. So we need to get their voices heard and find out if it's working, tell us why it's working, tell us why it's brilliant. And if it's not working or you're not able to do it, how can we help you take that journey? So really, really important. So if you're involved, if you're listening here today and you work for a support provider or you're involved in some way, shape or form with a provider, get in touch, let us know, and if you'd like to take part, because it'll be a really interesting bit of work. Loads of hellos. Hello to folk saying hello. Thank you, Danielle. The other wee bit that I'll just say about, because one of our associates, Lou Close, who some of you will be familiar with, she's the one that wrote the option 2 research case study paper that we published last year, where we looked at experiences of local authorities and how to actually make option 2 a reality. She's doing another bit of work for us this year around about also going out and speaking to local authorities to find out are there gaps in the kind of paperwork process, tools, contractual models, anything that they might need to be able to make option 2 smoother. Because what we hear from local authorities is sometimes it's really tricky. It's a big, long, laborious process for social workers or for folk doing assessments to actually, between the time of somebody asking, yeah, I want an option 2, to actually getting it in place. So we're trying to speak to local authorities to find out what's getting in the way of that. How can we make it quicker, easy, more straightforward, more streamlined? So if you're watching from a local authority perspective, or you know somebody who does, get in touch, please. This is just the common mantra: get in touch, come and talk to us. So Lou's going to be holding some workshops, focus group type sessions as well, to find out a wee bit more about that. So that's 2 of my plugs, 3 of the plugs, 1 more plug. And 1 more plug is around about Lou again, funnily enough, our Lou. But for folk who might not have seen it, we just published an option 3 research just a few weeks ago, and we held a wee seminar, which was really well attended, wasn't it? We had about, how many folk did we have there actually? It was about 30, 40 folks, something like that. It was good, a good turnout. So when we were talking about self-directed support and what's getting in the way of it being really creative or flexible or working really well for folk, we've always tended to look at options 1 and 2, haven't we? But it was that kind of realisation that why don't we look at option 3 as well, because it should be different. Option 3 of SDS should be different from the way things were before self-directed support. It should still have choice, control, freedom, dignity, flexibility, creativity, all of these things. But we tend not to really hear of that happening. So Lou again went out and spoke to 10 health and social care partnerships in Scotland, a big research project, and a wee guest appearance from south of the border from Leeds, to find out what bits of wee nuggets of creativity or flexibility have been embedded since self-directed support in option 3 services. So it's worth a read. When I stop rabbiting on, I'll stick a wee link on the Facebook so you can go and have a read of it. But yeah, it was a really interesting piece of work, and we're hoping that it will start some conversations in the future about how to still make that option as creative and flexible as it can be.
Mm. So the question is, we're going to run out of options soon. What are we going to do then?
Option 5. Ooh, mysterious. Maybe, you never know. I mean, there's a thing coming up as well. There's a post-legislative scrutiny being undertaken by Scottish Parliament around about how has self-directed support worked for people. There's a committee looking to hear people's thoughts and opinions on that. So we'll obviously be responding to that with lots of our learning. But again, that's another thing I'll dig out a link for and stick in the chat for when I stop rabbiting on. So yeah, speaking of stopping rabbiting on, does anybody get anything else you want to update our viewers on? I'm happy to squirrel on.
Just to say, our newsletter's going about next week, and some of the stuff that Pauline and Alistair and that's been speaking about will be included in our newsletter. So look out for that. It'll be coming to you next week. And if you haven't signed up to our contact list, if you want to do that, I'll make sure you get a copy of our newsletter.
Thanks, June. And that's a good reminder, actually, because a lot of people tell us, we used to get emails from you and I don't anymore. And it's because you have to sign up to be able to get the emails, and you do that on the website. Scroll right the way down to the bottom and there's a wee box to stick your email address in. We don't send you rubbish, we just send you a few things every few months. Don't worry, won't spam you.
I know, and a lot of the time it's stuff that you can do for free, isn't it? You know, meetings, chance to catch up, chance to problem solve together, and that's just a rare thing sometimes in these days. You know, to say, oh, I wonder, I'm really struggling with this. Let's get together and chat about it. And some of the stuff that we've managed to do together is absolutely great. I mean, I guess some of the stuff like the Working Together for Change, for example. Hint, hint, Brent.
Is that me coming in
on
now?
the spot there.
Can I have a little plug there, Pauline?
You may.
Working Together for Change local. Do that in my finest West Country accent. We needed supported folk and carers across Ayrshire to get in touch. We want to have a chat about your experience of social care, self-directed support in Ayrshire. So please get in touch with the info email or Brett email, any way that you can get in touch with myself or to June, and I'll give you a call up and maybe come down to Ayrshire for a nice cup of tea and a biscuit. So please get in touch. Thank you. There's my little plug there.
Excellent. Amazing. Thanks so much, Brett. And I did a wee woo in the middle of that because I hit a button and made it full screen. So every time I think I know what I'm doing with StreamYard, I press another button and give myself a wee fright and remind myself that I don't know everything. So apologies for the woo in the middle of it. I wasn't breaking into Christmas carols. So I'm just firing some links into Facebook as well for the Option 3 research, and I'll be linked to that seminar. And folks should hopefully have our email address as well to get in touch with you, Brett, if they want a cup of tea and a biscuit. Amazing. So the idea for today was a bit of a reflection and find out how people are feeling. How are we feeling? What are we noticing? What are we realising? How's your year been? Does anybody fancy starting? Alistair, you're next to me. Don't want to put pressure on you, but if you want
no pressure. No. Yeah, I mean, it's been a really intense year. I think that the pace and the demand for things to change has been really high and really consistent across such a wide range of things. And I guess one of the things that I'm noticing is the sheer scale of the links, the threads that go through everything that we do. And I think we're getting even better at linking some of that stuff together. And I think one of the things I've noticed about this year is sometimes, because we're so busy, we don't take the time to appreciate just the scale of change of some, because we always want better, right? We're never going to be happy, are we? We're never going to be satisfied. Phew, job's done, right? But I do think for a lot of the stuff that we've been doing, we've managed to make some significant changes, and we can see where we need to go next. And so I would say for myself, despite the fact that I'm a bit knackered with the pace of it all, I feel enthusiastic about the fact that we have managed to get stuff done. It doesn't feel like wasted energy, I guess. That's the main thing. And I think that's all we can really hope for, is that, we're connecting with lots of folk, and a lot of the work we're doing is really making a significant impact. Like I say, we'd always want it to be more, but I suppose that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I think lots of stuff just still coming up. It's just trying to keep up with the demand really at the moment.
Yeah, and it's interesting when we talk about we always want more. I think the day that we stop always wanting more is the day that we retire or we move on to another job, because that's what we're always going to be doing, is always looking for better. And that was an interesting reflection from the chat we had last night with the Scottish Government team about coming home, was that like relentlessly positive. Wherever we find a nugget of something good, we'll grab it with both hands and share it with anybody that will listen.
Definitely.
Thanks so much, Alistair. And you've had coming to you then, Brett, you've had Andy Malcolm saying happy to chat regarding Ayrshire, because they're in North Ayrshire. So that would be great if you get in touch. But Brett, what are you saying?
Cup of tea and a wagon wheel. Hey.
A wagon wheel.
Wagon wheel, do you remember them?
Yeah. They've got smaller wagon wheels, haven't they? Or if I got bigger, I'm not sure.
I don't know. So 6 months into the role, I guess it's been really kind of fast paced, following on from Alistair's theme and change, and I guess a cry out, because it's my kind of first Christmas, New Year, or maybe second, where I've not been kind of spinning plates within a care home or home care kind of environment. So I feel really lucky and feel really privileged that I'm not one of those folks in the front line. So a cry out to all you guys in the health and social care who, are kind of so busy that they, can't catch the tail. But I guess the thing that I thought about really is thinking differently, because I've had that privilege to kind of be able to step back and look at all the great work that's happening across Scotland. It almost feels like, as Alistair would say again, is press that button and the KZN kind of thing. We need to almost kind of stop and, stop the conveyor belt, to think differently, and everyone to sit down and go, this is not working, guys. We really need to, seriously, we're at a crisis point in certain aspects. So we really need to stop, press the button and go, come on, we've got to be radical. We've got to think differently. We've got to make change. This is not working for folk, for supported folk and carers out there. So, so it's almost that kind of reflection. We need to go further. We need to push further. Like Alistair said, we always want to go bigger and better, but it almost feels there's some great stuff happening. We need to share that and bring a bit more joy, I guess, because it feels a bit at times doom and gloom. So we need to, because there are some great pieces of work, and like I say, I get the privilege of seeing that and being part of that and sharing that, and so it's not all doom and gloom. So hold in there. That's my cry out. Thanks, Pauline.
Excellent, thank you. It's not all doom and gloom, absolutely. And it's funny, I've twice in the last week had comments from folk about how they think In Control Scotland are a really positive bunch of people with a can-do attitude. So I think that's you're reflecting that nicely as well. Which there's no point in just complaining. We do complain a wee bit. We all grumble and complain a wee bit, but we usually offer a it's rubbish, but look, this brilliant thing. Always back it up with a bit of positivity. Thanks so much, Brett. Karen, you've not said much. Hello.
I know, it's very unlike me to be so quiet. Well, I'm finishing the year in a high because in August I joined Team In Control, which has just been brilliant. I've always kind of known about In Control Scotland because I was Partners in Policy Making graduate in 2017, but just making the jump to join the team has just been brilliant. And the last few months have just been a complete whirlwind for me, just kind of seeing the breadth of work that In Control Scotland do, and it's just loads, you know. So even as a staff member, I'm still trying to get my head around all the different things that we do, but I think that's great because the work that we do, we get to go places and we get to have conversations with people in a different way. Do you know, like, you know, we can be a bit bolder in how we have conversations and what conversations we are having. And I really like that. It made me laugh, Alistair and Pauline, when you were saying about the research and we're running out of options. And you could think that, but then probably my biggest reflection is just we've still got so much to do, you know, on the 4 options. And I'm finding that in a lot of the conversations we've been having recently, just the misinformation that's being conveyed. Sometimes it's not even misinformation, it's just no information. You know, like something's just given to a family and there's no conversation about why or where or what different could even look like. So I'm really passionate, you know, and it's something I hope that as we go into the new year that In Control can continue to do, is really thinking about the conversations that are being had by different people. Are they equal? Are they even happening? Who's involved and how do we do it? I think as a parent carer myself, it kind of feels like there's loads of consultations happening just now, you know, like everybody's wanting people's experience, and I'm just a wee bit scunnered as well because like I feel a lot of the time I give my time, but I'm like, what was the point? So as we move forward, I think we need to get better at having conversations, but they need to be meaningful. Do you know, if people are investing their time, they need to know what the purpose is and really be part of that journey. It's not just as, and I don't think we do that at In Control. I think we are different, that we want to hear from people, but then we want to figure out what can we do with that information. Again, it links back to a lot of the work that Working Together for Change is doing and the work that Partners in Policy Making will be doing. We need to bring all these people together. We need to share the experience and make their contribution worthwhile, do you know? So yeah, I've just loved the last few months and I'm really excited about what 2024 is going to bring for In Control.
Excellent, thanks so much. I agree, me too. And a wee comment there, quality relationships, values and information makes more of a difference in process. And absolutely, I don't know how many times we talk about the Simmons Triangle. If anybody's ever been on a training session from In Control Scotland or has ever had a conversation with any of us, probably you'll have heard us talking about it. And it's that idea that when all we think about when we think about SDS is the options and budgets and services, but it's so much more than that. It's good and equal conversations, as you rightly say. It's respect and integrity and putting people at the heart of decision making. It's so much more than just the tip of the iceberg on the top of the triangle, the process and stuff. So yeah, that's been one of my reflections from the year. Is I think we as an organisation and as a team we don't focus on that top of the triangle. We really get down to the nuts and bolts of why are we here? Why do we do the jobs that we do, or what's important to the families that we're working alongside? So,
and I agree with that, Pauline. There's never been a more crucial time to, when resources are scarce, support providers are scarce, to have those good conversations, if nothing else, is massive for people. So yeah, amplify that definitely.
For sure. Amazing, thanks. Thank you, Karen. Danielle, Santa Dungarees.
Well, I suppose it's connected to what everybody else has said so far, but as most of you all know, I've been involved with Thinking Controllers and Associates since I graduated from Partners in Policy Making. But in July, I changed my role and became one of the coordinators. So that it's been a learning curve for me because I've had to learn a lot more about the organisation than what I needed to know before. So yeah, and since then I think one of my biggest learning curves was thinking about. I think you said it, Polly, and one of the first working together for change courses is that we need to stop thinking of self-directed support as something different. It's something that it's how social care should be delivered in Scotland. It's not a big fancy separate thing that people sometimes think it is. It's about just allowing people and families living with disability to have that ordinary life. And by ordinary, I don't mean boring. I just mean all those things that everybody else takes for granted. And also, I think as well, one of my biggest reflections is that despite the legislation being enforced for since 2014 or 13, depending on where you take it from, but 14 since it became enforced as a law, I think the fact that we still need to help people and professionals learn the basics of self-directed support, that's good in a sense, but not so good, because you would hope that almost we would be out of a job by now, but we're not. So, yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks so much, Danielle. Yeah. And that like ordinary life is so fundamental to everything that we're talking about. It's just about like the gap between people who don't have a support need and people who do, and what would it take to fill that gap so everybody's got the same rights, same opportunities, same space to have a good life. Is the point of what we do. Thanks so much, Danielle. We don't accept excuses, we work with you on the alternatives. We do. That's a bit, I mean, that sounds vaguely threatening. We will work with you on the alternatives, not we work with you. But yeah, absolutely, that's it. Thanks so much.
It wasn't meant to be vaguely threatening, it was just...
Don't mind the vague threat, it's all right, it's grand. We will work with you.
I suppose I was just trying to reflect that sort of like, so we're upbeat and we're positive about the impact we're making, but it is, as Brett is saying, it's such a desperate time. It is. The fact that the social care workforce is on its knees, that people are not being paid a fair wage, and it's falling apart at the seams, despite us knowing better. You know, it feels just such a strange time, because we've got wonderful legislation and all this knowledge and all these people willing and really trying to make a difference, but some of the infrastructure is just really, really making it so hard. It's a really odd time, isn't it?
It is. It's one of those things that when some of us who were around in the very early days of self-directed support were thinking and talking about it, we were talking about how it would be really nice, it'd be amazing, it'd be dead exciting to have creativity and not just be relying on services, and it was seen as like that would be nice. But now it's like it's not a nice to have, it's a need to do, because we're so stuck in terms of traditional services. We need to think differently. We need to think more creatively. So it's a desperate time, but again, I'm spinning a positive on it, because that's what I do. Is that actually now we're being coerced into creativity, and I don't think that's a bad outcome if we get the creativity at the end of it that we were all hoping for. Yeah, thanks so much. And June, who's got a wee chesty cough, so hopefully you feel free to just say a few words rather than
hopefully I can get through this without getting into a coughing fit. Well, I've been in Control Scotland now for nearly 12 years, and and I've seen so many changes over the years, but all good, because we always stick to those values and our principles of self-directed support. Like the guys have been saying, the last year's been extremely busy, but all positive and all good. And we've even done some new stuff this year, like the action learning sets and a few other things. And that's by asking people questions, you know, what is it people need from us? What is it they want? And what can In Control Scotland do for you? So it's been all good. I'm looking for a wee bit of a rest at Christmas, so that we can all be refreshed to carry on the good work that we do. So I'm not going to talk much longer because I feel my coughing coming on again.
Oh no, it's fine. Thank you so much, June. You can rest easy now. But yeah, and so thanks for that. I would agree with absolutely everything that everybody said. The other wee bit I was going to add on was just the biggest kind of light bulb. We talk about light bulb moments a lot through programs like Partners in Policy Making or Working Together for Change, when something just like clicks and you think, got it. And the biggest light bulb for me this year has been like, when people are ready to make change, that's when amazing things happen. But it's really difficult to make people ready to make change. And that's something that we're going to be thinking about for next year, is how do we edge people along that journey of being ready and willing and able to think about actually change can be a bit scary, but we can do better, I suppose. So that's something that it's been such a light bulb for me, thinking, why are we can't force people to change the way they do things, but what we can do is be that relentless positive. Look, when you do change, these amazing things do happen. Come on board, join the but I was going to say the SDS train, the Polar Express, because it's Christmas time. But come and join the train, and be part of that amazing movement for change that we see. Those wee nuggets of fantastic stuff happening across the country. So yeah, thanks so much. And my other one was just how I'm just dead proud of the team. I'm proud of all of you, and I'm proud of the work that we do. And just a huge thank you to you for being part of this ragtag bunch of people doing really interesting stuff. And June's disappeared off the screen. She might be having a wee coughing fit. Oh, she's back. Oh God, help you, June. Jeez, so you need a wee hot toddy or a mulled wine or an eggnog or something. Get you over the line. So yeah, and there's Marion, another one of our Working Together for Change graduates. Marion, good to see you. Saying equal is so important. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. We've also got a bigger comment here from Robert.
Yeah, my son Jordan was in one of the first of the In Control pilot in North Lanarkshire well over 10 years ago. Jings. Been a busy year for him and us as he finally moved from our home to his own tenancy. Cosy 3-bedroom mid-terrace house in June. He employs a team of 5 staff. My wife and I help him with his budget. He loves his new home and his supporters. 2 of them have been with him for 10 years and 3 are new. Change is scary, but it has all worked. Amazing.
That is amazing. It's lovely, isn't it, to hear those stories? We need to hear them more, definitely.
And I'm jealous of a cosy home because it is frosty and foggy outside today, although it's cosy inside. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Robert. Really appreciate that. And the other side of it, which is what the motivation for us to keep on going. So many positives, but Fraser's still stuck in the system. So Fraser's one of the families that you've been working alongside Alistair through New Roots Home with a bunch of folk there. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's that challenge, isn't it? As we're looking forward to the next year, is that balance of we've been able to convince some people and support people to be bold, and support some people's voices to be heard, and some of the stuff that we hear, it's not rocket science, is it? You know, and I guess one of the frustrations is that we still are making that all those efforts to connect to people who need to hear it in a way that they can accept it and not fight against it, because that's one of the most frustrating things that I still feel is that when people's response to what's asked is to list off why they can't change, it's like, please stop and just listen. And because if we all sit down together, this doesn't have to be them and us. this is all of us together, and that's when the great stuff happens, when people stop being defensive about why it hasn't happened in the past, and when folk go, okay, I'll acknowledge, it's not brilliant, this bit isn't working right, let's see what we can do. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to put our effort into moving it forward rather than arguing about whose fault it is, because that's just so soul destroying for everybody. So
and we see that all the time, don't we? It's amazing when you see that as a facilitator, and you overhear somebody, or somebody says something to you. Like, we had somebody in one of the Working Together for Change sessions saying, God, I've spent a lot of time and effort putting all these systems and processes in place. I didn't realise that it was making people so miserable. And it's like all these little moments that people have when you think, right, okay, there's your light bulb moment. We talk about that. So yeah, it's great to see those wee bits of thought that you can hear the cogs turning and people thinking about accepting change, and not being a criticism of people. It's a criticism of the chaos and carnage of a system that we sometimes set up to protect ourselves. But
I think that just echoes why it's so important that we keep getting the right people in the room to have these conversations, and it's why In Control are just so passionate about bringing the voices of carers and supported adults in, because you're so right. How many professionals are just stuck doing the same thing because it's just how they've always done it, and that's just what all they know, and they're happy within their system. Whereas when they actually get the opportunity to take a step back and reflect on it, and then hear the impact from the people who receive these systems and processes, it can spark those wee light bulb moments, can't it? And sometimes it's about just getting the right people in the room together, and just connecting and having those conversations, and sometimes a wee bit bravery on the part of some professionals as well, to maybe stick their head up above the water and say, why are we doing this? I've had a bit of feedback, and so I really hope that as we enter 2024, more professionals are willing to be reflective and react to the feedback as to what they're hearing, so that we can make change, because we need it. It's time for change. Enough kind of just being stuck with how things are. Let's as Brett's saying, let's be radical, even if that means baby steps to being radical.
That's fine. Every inch forwards is movement. Absolutely. Or a 100th of an inch. And there you go, Karen. Is this a wee moment for you to hit a beamer? So thank you, Chris. You're also positive people. Thank you for that. I've never seen Karen so motivated as geez, oh, right, excellent, good. We've unleashed a beast. Excellent. And Chris is saying in the spirit.
Come on, by the way, this is of his own free will that my husband has joined the chat.
Good, excellent.
Is this instead of a Christmas present?
I was thinking the same, Alistair. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So Chris is asking, in the spirit of giving, what would be the biggest gift that could be given by those in power to really unleash the true potential of SDS for people? Jings, what a good question.
Do you know what? I was thinking of a guy I worked with for the Simon community nearly 30 years ago. Mick, his name was. He's probably not with us anymore. And he spoke of the biggest gift he ever had was when he was on the streets, was people to look up. And what he meant by that was to basically just look up and look at him in the face and have a conversation. And I think following on what other folks, Karen and other folks have said, is if you do nothing, have a conversation with people, whether it be a homeless person or a practitioner in a living room or a politician, talking to folk, have a conversation about making change, because that's the biggest gift Mick would say you can give. So yeah.
And if you're having a conversation, it's a good time, because we've got the 19th of December, the Scottish budget gets announced. So some of those, and a lot of people are using their voices to kind of raise up the experiences of folk working and using social care around this very critical time, because if we don't invest in these folk, then we won't be here to people won't be in jobs and people won't get the support that they need. But yeah, that was my little plea. If I've got any government ministers working today, please look kindly upon the social care workforce and the people using it in these difficult times. But yeah, thanks so much for it. Brilliant. That actually reminded me of a story that I heard around about another guy who was living with homelessness, who was a rough sleeper, who used a little mini budget. They were doing a bit of work on self-directed support a good few years ago, and asked a bunch of folk who were rough sleeping, what would you do if you had a little budget? And the story that still gives me goosebumps and brings tears to my eyes today was the guy who used 50 quid to buy a prom dress for his daughter, and that did more to repair the family relationship than any counselling or any social work intervention ever possibly could. And that came as a result of just being asked to him, what's important to you? What matters to you? What would make you feel worthwhile and worthy? And that was what came out from that. And it still brings a tear to the glass eye today.
It's such a simple question, rather than a checklist of, processes that workers go through. Just asking what would help, It's all about connection, isn't it?
I know I quite like the Stephen Covey quote about asking, with the intention to understand rather than to reply. Not having it all set in your head. I'm going to ask you something, but I'm not really interested. I'm interested in what I'm going to tell you next. So I think the biggest gift we could have is that openness and honesty, that people not to have their little script and their all their defenses for why things are where they are, because as long as we're trying to defend why it is and why it's not possible to do anything else, we're never going to change anything. We have to both acknowledge that things need to change and be open to changing ourselves, because if we're only looking to change other people, stuff's never going to happen. We all need to shift all the time and be comfortable. Well, you catch your catchphrase for this year, Pauline, was getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's getting comfortable with change and going with the flow rather than just sticking to that. Well, this is our bit and we'll defend our. If we could shift that mindset so that people felt comfortable going with some of that, I think that's where we've seen some of the progress. So that's one of the things, I guess, in response to Chris's question, if we could ask for that as a gift, that would be for me.
The gift of discomfort.
The gift of discomfort.
But yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get that tattooed on, make it comfortable being uncomfortable, so I can just show my arm instead of saying it every other day.
Brilliant.
Thanks so much. Anybody get any other reflections on that?
I think it's important to acknowledge there is some good practices of change out there, because I've been gathering some case studies and we haven't published them yet, so hopefully that'll be in the new year. But that was around providers who are enabling people to use their budgets for something other than personal care or your traditional care provision. That was harder to say than it should have been. But these two examples particularly were good examples of thinking outside the box and just not, as Brett and everyone else has said, and Pauline, about not being prescriptive and not saying this is the type of service you need because this is what we can provide. So yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that there are good pockets of that, but there should be more of that, ideally.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks so much, Daniel. And it reminds me of a thing that we spoke about. I think it was the first Working Together for Change session that we did this year, where somebody asked us for examples of change that had happened. And some of us, our brains went straight to the big heads of service completely revamping and overhauling their approach to this, that, and the next thing, and that leadership from the top down and all that stuff that had happened to make real change in local authorities. But others of us were thinking about I remember when I met this person who has a disability, who couldn't look me in the eye, or who wasn't feeling comfortable, didn't trust anybody, or didn't feel like they could connect or have a relationship with their worker. And I've seen how they've changed to have a bit of trust and a bit of confidence or faith in the system because people listen to them and ask the right questions. So it's that idea that change doesn't have to be this massive, strategic, monumental thing. Change happens at an individual level and it happens slowly. And sometimes you don't catch it until it's been happening for long and you think, oh God, actually, look how far we've come. So change happens on, oh yeah, there we go. The vision needs to be strategic and big. Change takes time. Exactly what I was just saying, Robert. Thanks for
Look
putting
at
more
that.
elephant in the room.
As if by magic.
Series of small steps to climb a mountain. Perfect. Thank you very much. And it's best to know first where you want to be in 3 or 4 years' time. Think about making that first step as soon as possible. And yeah, I would always say the job of us, like our where we want to be in 3 or 4 years' time, is not doing the work that we're doing just now. We would all hope that we're not going to be training people about self-directed support and talking about the legislation and talking about these things, because we would hope that would be so far embedded. We wouldn't be advocating for folk to get out of hospitals because they'd all be out. We wouldn't be thinking about putting people at the centre of decision making and encouraging folk to do that because it would already be happening. We'd be off doing something else. Would be doing something. Our work here would be done. I suppose that would be the ambition. Yeah. Anybody around the rest of the gang? Anything else you want to add? No pressure. No. Perfect. Thank you so much.
I suppose I just want to thank everybody that's kind of stood by us and walked alongside us throughout the last year and the years before that. And we hope to continue working side by side with you all. So.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, echo that. Huge thanks to all of you for coming along and listening and participating and being part of our programs, or leaving comments, or subscribing to our newsletter, which you can do if you haven't already. Final plug. But yeah, huge thanks. We exist to support the community of Scotland and the citizens of Scotland. So hopefully tell us if there's anything else we can do that we're not already doing. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, just big old Merry Christmas when it comes from everybody in Control Scotland. And we'll see you in January, probably, I reckon, on a webinar at some point in January that we haven't set a date for, but we'll hopefully see you then. So thanks so much, everybody. Have an amazing Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Bye.